Hey everybody, welcome into Rock Painting 101. Today we are continuing on our little mandala for beginners tutorials, and this is kind of almost like an opposite way to build a mandala for those that might still be struggling to kind of find their groove. So what I've got here are my post-it notes. You can use any piece of paper. I just happen to have these nearby. The sticky isn't going to be used today. And then find something that is a perfect circle that you can trace. It's important to start with a real perfect circle. If you have a compass or whatever, you can draw one that way. Any, round cup or container will work. You just want it to fit on your piece of paper. So I'm going to start by cutting this out. You do want to take your time, make sure that you get a nice, clean cut on your circle. It's going to be important that it's nice and round edge for you. The other supplies I have today with me, I have my Posca 1M pen. I've also got a hole punch over here that I'm going to be needing. You can use whatever paint colors you want. I've got a gold acrylic paint, and then I'm going to use my dotting tools to help fill in my shapes. You can obviously just do this as a black stone as well. So once you've got your perfect circle, you are going to fold it into quarters. Make sure that you're doing a very clean fold. It's important to find the very center of this circle for your project. So make sure you get those corners correctly together. It's a nice crease. You should have a nice smooth edge here when you're done. And then you're going to take your hole punch and you're going to punch the center out. Now, if you slide your your piece of paper in, you should be able to close your hole punch almost all the way. And if you look before I do this, you can see the center of your hole punch. It kind of has like a circle on the inside, so you can get that point right on that circle, pinch it down almost all the way, make sure you're positioned well, then punch out that center. Now we're going to open up our circle, and like I said, I'm using a post-it, but the sticky isn't going to be used for this. Now I'm not using circular rocks. Sometimes keeping full circles is one of the hardest parts about doing the mandalas. So if you're a beginner, this is perfect because we're going to off-center. Whoopsies. Did you hear that fall? That was a box, and I had it up there blocking this light. Oh well. You're going to off-center your circles, which will make it easier to create your designs. So just find where you want your center to be working around, just based on the shape of your rock. We do want to be able to build along this outside edge. So you're just going to put your paper down. Now the reason I like to use paper is you can kind of push it and bend it over edges while you're working. So we've got our center here, and you want to make sure that you are marking the center of your rock. So grab your pen, and we're just going to outline that center just like so. We're going to be reusing that dot over and over again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start as far over the edge as you want to, and just curve that paper if you need. And we're going to trace the outside edge of our circle. So I like to place my pen on a slight angle so that I don't splatter and I don't wear down my tip nearly as fast. So we're just going to go and trace the outside of this circle all the way around. Make sure you're picking up where you're holding your paper so that it's nice and flat, because you want a good edge to be working with. It's going to make your rock turn out better. So even though it takes longer to pick up and press down that paper, if you want it to look good, that's what you're going to want to do. So again, depending on the shape of your rock, you can have it go up and over edges, however you want to. Since you're using the paper, you're able to kind of... So my phone ran out of space, but see, this is why this works. So look at, I maybe lost my spot. I had to put my rock down for a second, but we're going to just line that circle right back up and finish up and over this edge. Make sure we're lined up. And I'm going to use my thumb. I'm going to press it as close to the edge as I can, especially when I'm going up and over a weird space on my rock. Now make sure you go as far as you want to. Sometimes I like to place my rock down to see, okay, the overhead looking down, the way I'm gonna lay it is done. Because once you cut this, you can't go back and use it again. So once you're done with that layer, you're gonna decorate. So I don't need this again yet. So you could do lots of different patterns along the outside of this. I'm gonna use gold to fill this in. It's gonna look gorgeous. I'm gonna start by just doing triangles along the edge. And I do like to keep in mind that this is your center. So I turn my rock as I'm decorating it to always keep the center kind of at the bottom. So I'm kind of going down towards the center. And do your best to kind of keep them uniformed. But with this style of mandala, you can kind of get away with not having everything perfectly even. And you'll see why as we continue to work along this. Just the style of designs we're doing. You're not going to see it as it goes over the edges all the way. Just kind of go as far as you want to along that line. Carry it over the edge a little bit. Like so. I'm going to finish up this side over here. I try to keep a consistent way that I'm drawing them. It helps you keep them uniform, to use the same stroke. Okay, just like that. All right, so we've got our first layer. Always cap your pen. If you're working directly on a rock, I like to doodle off the tip of my pens right away in case any dust gets in there. Okay, now back to our template. We're gonna fold it back up just how we did last time. Make sure those points are nice and even on the edges. You're nice and flat, especially when you refold it, because you might have folded it slightly different. You just want to make sure everything is smooth and even. Now we're going to trim the edge of this circle. Now it's best to keep your eye along the outside edge as you're cutting to try to maintain this thickness once you make your first cut all the way around. Now if you feel like you need to add a guide, you can by measuring along where to land on the other side. But as long as you cut nice and slow and keep an eye on that outside edge, you can kind of keep your thickness just like that. And then move that off to the side. Now we're going to open back up. We are going to place our dot center hole right back on our center hole here again, and I'm going to trace this edge just like I did last time, but I'm going to speed that portion up for you guys. One thing to keep in mind is as your circles get smaller, you're going to come further along the rock, so you might have your lines going past where they went last time. Like see here, this one went a little bit further past, this one ended up in about the same spot. Now you can work inwards off your line or outwards off your line. So if you had a shape you wanted to do towards the center, you could very easily do that. I like to do that when I get a little bit closer to the center. You can also do things right along the line. So this one, especially since I got a couple little messy spots here, I'm going to create rectangles. And I started halfway to that one, so let's go one past. Halfway like that. Now we're going to fill these in with paint and then touch up our outlines when it's all said and done. We're just going to go just like that. And we're going to do square, circle, like that. And then I'm going to go over, this one ended here, just so they're about the same size. And it was, let's see here, 1, 2.5 triangles. So 1, 2.5. And then a circle. Just like that. So I'm going to continue creating these patterns and cutting my circle lower and lower. And I'll show some layers and work along the way. But for the most part, I'm going to speed a lot of this up just because it gets a little bit redundant. And then we'll get to painting. Now, as you get smaller and smaller on your circle, it can be harder to kind of gauge that outside edge. So if you want to come in with a pen and kind of sketch, if your pen works, sketch out that circle. Why is I not writing? Well, I can see my indent. But you can kind of sketch out your circle a little bit. Writes on paper, not on Post-it. There it is. So that you can kind of have a line to follow. For some reason, as it gets really small, sometimes it can be tricky to kind of keep an eye on that outside edge. So if you have something to follow along with, it can help you here towards the end, because you will actually have getting closer and closer to full circles. Like that last one went all the way around. Okay, we've worked our way all the way to the center here. Now, of course, when you're lining things up, you can use little tricks, you know, as you're working around the center, you know, make a line that goes straight across to kind of make it pleasing to the eye when it's all said and done. I'm going to do an arched little edge along this one here. And again, like always, I suggest, like I'm doing 3 at a time, turn the rock. Just get into a rhythm when you try to do things like this. It really helps you keep a uniformed look. There we go. So that is it for our lining. Now you could leave your rock just like this. It looks fabulous just like this. I've got another one over here that I've only done the lining on. However, I don't want to leave it just like this. Obviously, I want to add some more color. Now, once you're done with your main lining on your rock, you can always add something outside the edge. Like if you've got this one little space here, you could always add something fun when it's all said and done. Like I think I might do some circles that kind of dot off to the side, but we'll get to that later. For now, I'm just going to start filling in some of my shapes. I've got my dotting tools here. I've just got a small one with a pointed end and a ball shape end. And I like to just shake up my paint as long as I'm not mixing colors, with the lid on very tight, and then unscrew. And I just like to work right out of my lid as long as I'm not needing to mix colors. Oops, I got a little bit of a dried up spot there. Get that out of the way. And we are just going to start in the center and start working our way out, filling in all of these shapes and dots. And this is going to look amazing. I love black and gold together. So this is going to look wonderful when it's all said and done. And when you're putting your paint in, you can kind of clean up edges a little bit. Anywhere you've maybe made a mistake. Obviously, when you put a dot in the center of your circle, it's going to make that circle look a lot more round. Like so. So we're just going to work our way around, and then I will come back and show off the rock when it's done. So I'm giving my gold some time to dry before I can go in and kind of clean up a few of my black lines. I'm going to just add some black dots outside every other point here that is able. We're going to get around the corner here pretty fast, so it won't be a lot. I'm going to add a gold dot inside of those once they're dry. But like I said, you can build all the way out to the edge on these. I don't think there's going to be any spots. Let's see here, every other. So that would be this one, which you can't get, this which you can't get, this one. I might be able to sneak one on this one. Like that. And then I've got one more up here I can add on there. So I'm going to wipe that off. Now there's a few of these smaller spots where I kind of wanted to add in some black as well. So I'm going to get a smaller dotting tool here. Maybe not quite that small. And I always like to test a dot sometimes, like on a piece of paper. Make sure you guys can see. So like you can test and see about what size the dot is, because I want to put dots inside of my gold. See, now that's pretty big. I still want my gold to show. So let's wipe that off. Let's try the other end. Next size down. see, that's better. That's kind of more what I'm looking for. And I did these dots a long time ago, so I should be fine placing a dot in them. I just want to make sure not to put my finger right on one of those dots I just did. Just like that. So, like I said, you can continue to add more and more details and layers to these rocks. There are endless possibilities as to what you can do with them. However, with our little hack at the beginning, getting the circles is a little easier to accomplish. I want to leave that center like that. It's a little easier to accomplish as a beginner than, freehand drawing on your circle. So I hope that this helped you all a little bit. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, Rock Painting 101, so you don't miss any videos, upcoming videos that we have, or tutorials, lots of rock painting inspiration for you. And we will be back soon with more videos. So I'm just going to touch up these last couple lines here where I see some rock through where my black should be. Just touch up some of those. I'm going to add dots of gold inside of these once they've dried a little bit more. And I will share a picture of the finished rock here at the end of the video. Everybody have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.